We talk about AI like it's weightless. Chips, models, the cloud, but it just ran headfirst into something physical, old, and in short supply. On the 4th of May, 2026, the North American grid watchdog sent out a rare warning. Not about a blackout, not a storm, not a power plant failing. The warning was about data centers. More than a gigawatt of computing load had dropped off the system in seconds. A sudden swing grid operators just aren't used to seeing from demand. One moment the load was there, then it was gone. That's not how we usually talk about AI. We talk about chips, models, tokens, breakthroughs. But underneath all of it sits a much older machine, the electricity grid. And that machine is starting to feel AI. AI has found its first hard limit. Not intelligence, not chips, electricity. Strip away the word cloud, and a data center is just a building full of computers. Servers kept cool, kept powered, kept online. Every search, every email, every AI prompt resolves inside one of these buildings somewhere. What changed is what the computers are doing. A traditional data center handles many small jobs, serving web pages, routing messages, storing files. An AI data center is built for one very heavy job, training and running the huge models behind chatbots on thousands of GPUs pushed near full power for hours at a time. So picture it. Not a warehouse of filing cabinets that occasionally light up, but a building full of furnaces that run flat out. And the appetite is the whole story. A decade ago, US data centers ran on about 58 terawatt hours a year, a rounding error in a national grid. For years, power use stayed almost flat. Computers got more efficient about as fast as demand grew. Then AI broke the truce. Between 2017 and 2023, US data center demand more than doubled. By 2023, they were using roughly 176 terawatt hours, about 4.4% of all the electricity in the country. Here's the physical reason AI is so power-hungry. Inside a data center, computers sit in racks, cabinets about the size of a fridge. A conventional rack draws around 10 kilowatts. A single modern AI rack, packed with GPUs, is rated near 120. That's not a little more. It's roughly 12 times the power in the same footprint, and the roadmap points towards several hundred kilowatts a rack. Then there's heat. Chips that draw that much get hot, and they have to be cooled or they fail. Cooling alone can account for 30 to 40% of a data center's total energy. And efficiency gains have largely plateaued, even as the chips get hungrier. Put it together, thousands of high-draw chips run near 100%, plus the cooling to keep them alive. And an AI campus doesn't sip power like an office. It pulls like a small industrial plant around the clock. And that concentrated load is what lands on the grid. The trouble isn't villains versus victims. It's a timing mismatch. A data center campus can be announced and built in a year or two. The grid it plugs into runs on a different clock. New lines, substations, and power plants take many years, tangled in permits and queues. Demand arrives first, supply scrambles to catch up. That creates three pressure points. Reliability, regulators warn the grid, has not historically experienced simultaneous load losses of this magnitude. Cost. When utilities build out to serve data centers, who pays? The tech companies or ordinary ratepayers whose bills creep up? And place. Some towns get the jobs and the tax base. Others get a substation they never asked for. Now the honest counter-argument. Maybe the alarm is overblown. A lot of planned capacity never gets built. Deals fell more than 40% in late 2025, and only about a third of announced capacity is actually under construction. Data centers can shift load off peak hours and bring their own power, and utilities are writing large load tariffs so they pay for their own expansion. Real US electricity prices are even down about 6% since 2010. It's a serious argument, but notice what it concedes. Even the optimists agree the strain is real where it's concentrated. Across the US, data centers accounted for roughly half of all the growth in electricity demand in 2025. More than homes, factories, and electric cars combined. For 20 years, demand barely grew. AI restarted the meter, and the trajectory is steep. One projection has U.S. data centers reaching 325 to 580 terawatt hours by 2028, as much as 12% of the entire country's electricity. Globally, the IEA sees them roughly doubling from around 415 terawatt hours in 2024 to about 945 by 2030, close to the entire electricity consumption of Japan. And it doesn't spread evenly, it clusters. Northern Virginia, Data Center Alley, already hands about a quarter of the whole state's electricity to data centers, and one analysis projects that could climb toward 40 to 60% by 2030. So the real picture isn't the whole country running out of power, it's local, lumpy, uneven. The load arriving faster than the wires, transformers, and plants that feed it can be built. That gap, fast demand, slow grid, is the choke point. From here, three futures are being built at once. In one, the build-out wins. Capital pours into generation and transmission, the queues clear, and AI scales roughly as the bullish forecasts imagine. Paid for in capital and in places in higher bills. In another, the curve bends. Efficiency, demand shifting, and the gap between announced and built capacity do the work, and AI's power appetite grows slower than feared. In the third, power becomes the map. The bottleneck holds, and electricity, not chips, decides where AI gets built. Compute migrates to wherever power is cheap, abundant, and fast to connect. Some regions win the data center economy, others get priced out. The likeliest outcome is a blend. AI advancing where the power is, stalling where it isn't, and forcing a conversation about the grid that most countries have put off for decades. Go back to that warning from May 2026. It wasn't really about one fault or 1 gigawatt vanishing in seconds. It was the grid saying, in its own technical language, that it can feel a new kind of load arriving. Huge, concentrated, fast-moving, and invisible to planners until it's already asking to plug in. That's the part the AI story leaves out. Every breakthrough headline has a shadow behind it. More compute means more buildings mean more power. More power means wires, transformers, cooling, land, permits, and people arguing over who pays. The cloud was never really a cloud. It was always somewhere. And now that somewhere needs electricity on a scale, the old system was never built to absorb this fast. So the question is no longer just how far AI can go. It's where the power comes from, who gets it first, and who waits. Follow Macroframe, the hidden systems behind everyday life.